Welcome to Relating to Form, actually. And excited that everybody's here. You lead to light. Thank you for being here. And actually, this is something, like I said in the email, it was inspired by life. And as most things are, I want to share with you, I have a few points here that I'm going to share with you about relating to form. And, what do I even mean by this word form? And it's actually, I don't think a lot of people use that word, and especially in the way that I'm going to be using it and on this talk right here. And so this idea of relating, or not relating, but being informed, it came to me, I want to say 4 months ago. I've been saying 4 months, but I don't know if it was really 4 months ago. But it came to me one day when I was creating videos at the river. And, I create a lot of videos, and I was wondering, like, what is it that some days I'm able to, like, just really be in the flow and create videos and have fun with it. But some days I'm really just not feeling it. And it's actually been something that I've noticed in my experience, and I imagine all of us notice this experience. But it's like we're either being informed by two things, and informed means to be like prompted by, or like given. I want to say given rise to. That's maybe not the word, but prompted by. So if you can imagine like a teleprompter, like it has words on it, and you can read those words, and those words inform you on what to say next. And so this idea of informed is like we have two options, if you will. We can either be informed by this now moment, or we can be informed by our past and limited and contaminated thinking. And those are some kind of, this kind of harsh word, contaminated. But in truth is like we can be informed by our old conditioning, and our old conditioning shows up in so many different ways for all of us. Sometimes it's like, I'm not enough, or I need to be better, or this is not good enough, or all of these stories, I shouldn't be doing this, or whatever it is. And when we're being informed by these ideas of the past and these contaminated thinking, it actually limits the authentic expression of this now moment. And when we're not really expressing ourselves authentically in this now moment, it looks like that we're playing small. It looks like that we're in fear. It looks like we're like just not really showing up fully. And on the other side of that is being informed by this now moment, and being informed by the formless nature of our true self. And I'll be talking about the formless nature of who we really are, the formless nature of experience in itself. And I'll be talking about that more. But, the formless nature of who we really are is this now moment. And this now moment is perfect as it is. And there's no way that you should be. There's nothing that you need to do. There's nothing that you must do. It's always this now moment is perfect, and you're perfect in this now moment. And when we're being informed by that, it really kind of takes the pressure off. It takes the pressure off of needing to look a certain type of way, trying to be better, trying to be enough. And I've been saying this recently, that just being is worthy, and just being in this moment is perfect. And you might hear some Mexico sounds. People like to drop by with their music and stuff like that. But just being is worthy. And that's really the formless nature of our true self. It doesn't look any type of way. Like it doesn't look happy. It doesn't look excited. It doesn't. It's there's not a form to it. It's just being, and just being is worthy. And that's how informed came to me. And so informed led to relating to form. Like how are we relating to the form? And I want to give you a little bit more context on what form is too. Is what form is. And so you probably heard this before, but thought forms, like thought forms. So it's like the I would say the solid. Can I say solid? But it's like the form that the energy of life takes. And so we have energy flowing through us, and this energy forms into a thought. And this can be a thought of insecurity, and this can be a thought of fear. This can be a thought of inspiration. This can be a thought of happiness. But there's just the energy flowing, and the form kind of takes its form inside of us, and then we are responding, or we're being informed by whatever that form was. And if it's past thinking, then guess what? It's probably going to inform us to recreate the past, recreate those feelings, and because it's just all old form. And so when we kind of look at what a form is, again, a form is it's so many different type of things. What form is, and it's like we have forms of feelings, like feelings of happiness, sadness, depression, grief, anger. Like these are all forms in our experience. Feelings, emotions, I just said that, but feelings, emotions, like whatever it is, these are all forms of our experience, and they all arise within us. And it's like there is nothing there, and then these forms arise within us. Thought forms arise, emotions arise, feelings arise. And the moment that we get attached to it, to any one of these forms, immediately we feel limited. And I can even say the heart, like, it's suffering actually, because we're misidentifying who we are. We're misidentifying who we are. And when we misidentify who we are, we always feel the disconnection because we're identifying with something that's not true. And that's one thing about form. Form is not stable. Form always arises and it always falls. Form always passes. Like, you can't hold on to one thought because the thought is going to go away. You can't stay in one feeling because the feeling is going away. The feeling is going to go away. You can't stay in one emotion because that emotion is going to go away. And when we identify with the form of our experience, we immediately suffer because it's not who we are, and that too shall pass. And so it's just like someone that's always trying to be happy. Like, I want to be happy. I need to be happy all the time. That form is going to pass away because sometimes you're not going to be happy. And if that was your identity, if that's who you thought you were, guess what? Who are you now without it? Who are you now without it? And so that's the really cool thing to notice is like, these forms shall pass, and they always do. And we can tack on to this because this even relates to why are we afraid of some forms actually? Like, why do we try to push away some feelings? Why do we try to push away some emotions? Why do we try to push away thoughts? Like, I don't want to think negative thoughts. Let me push these negative thoughts away. Let me push these negative feelings away. Let me push this away. And we're calling it inappropriate, but we're pushing it away because we think that form lasts forever. Like, form doesn't last forever. It can't last forever. It has to pass. And the only reason that we'll be afraid of that experience, and the only reason that we'll try to push these feelings and thoughts away, is because we think that it can affect us, and we think that it will stay in our experience forever. But you and I know that that's not true. It's impossible that form can stay in our experience forever. And when we start to really kind of recognize this and like really just kind of be with our experience, because, I'm speaking words right now, and, I'm just sharing from just inspiration and excitement. But like, when you sit with your experience, you'll really be able to identify as personal research, as personal life experience of what this actually is, of like what this is. And when we kind of be with our experience, something really cool happens. When we're able to experience a form of fear arising, or a form of depression arising, or a form of sadness arising, and even the most beautiful forms that we like to hold on to, forms of happiness, inspiration, excitement, creativity. When we notice that, like, we are not that form, we immediately fall back into the formless nature of who we really are. And now I want to talk about the formless nature of who we really are. And the best way to kind of share this is in an analogy. And I've been sharing some, actually recording a course right now, which is the Informed course. And I've been sharing this analogy that, like, we are the space. The formless is the space. And the formless space is where everything arises. This is where feelings arise. This is where thoughts arise. This is where emotions arise. This is where beliefs arise. This is where insecurity arises. This is where everything arises. And we are that space. And so if you can imagine outer space, we have outer space, nothing there, black. It seems to be nothing there, black. And then a galaxy arises. And now we have a galaxy in this space. And now we have planets that arise. Now we have stars that arise. Now we have a sun that arises. And now we have moons that arise. And now we have humans that arise on a planet. But the most important thing is that the space, the forms that arise within the space are very important because that's what we are. But the space is just as important. And I like to share this analogy of, like, if you're reading a book, like, you read the book, there's words, and there's a space between every word. And the space between every word is just as valuable as the words on the page, because if there was no space between the words, then guess what? It would just be gibberish. We wouldn't even know what it said. We would just see letters. And so the really cool and really beautiful thing to notice is that, like, we are the space. And that's really what I'm talking about here, is like, we are the space, and we've misidentified ourselves with the forms that arise. We've identified with an identity, with a name, with a certain feeling, with a certain emotion. And as soon as we identify with that, momentarily, we forget that we are the space that everything arises in. But it's really cool because even when we are misidentifying with the space, and we're believing that we are the form is always pushing us back to the space because the form is so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable to try to hold on to a certain feeling. It's so uncomfortable to try to hold on to a certain thought. It's so uncomfortable to try to push away these things as well. Like it's fucking stressful to try to get rid of every negative thought. It's really stressful. I've had that before. And so identifying with the form, it's okay because it actually pushes us back to the formless nature of who we really are. It pushes us back to remembering that we are the space, and that everything that arises in the space, it doesn't define the space. The planets that arise in outer space don't define the space. The galaxy that arises in outer space doesn't define the space. Just like you and I, the feelings that arise within us, they don't define who we are. The thoughts don't define who we are. The emotions don't define who we are. And when we really kind of get that and really kind of experience that as truth and as a real life experience, we really start to understand that more, that we are formless and we can't be defined by the forms that arise. Shriyan, what's up, brother? Great to have you here, man. We in it already, man. So thanks for joining, brother. And at this moment right now, we're just talking about formless nature, and I kind of got into it, and I'm recording this as well, and I'll be able to put this on YouTube so you can check out the pieces that you missed. But I'm just sharing right now, and I'll be sharing for maybe like 30 more minutes, 30, 45 more minutes. And at the end, I would love to get some reflections or insights or anything that kind of comes up for you. So yeah, and you can drop some things in the chat as well. What's up, man?
Hey, man. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Cool. I can hear you. I can hear you. So yeah, brother, I'm gonna go ahead and put you back on mute because I was sharing something, and then
Sure.
go. Yeah. And so just a little bit of like the forms that arise. We were just talking about the forms that arise within our experience, and I gave the analogy of like an outer space. You know, there is a space that's there, and within that space, we have a galaxy that arises. We have a planet that arises. We have stars. We have moons. We have human beings that arise within this space. But the things that arise within the space, they don't define the space. And this is also like the formless nature, and that's why I say relating to form. And so the really cool thing is like when we understand that the things that arise within the space, the forms that arise within the space, they don't define the space. Now we can build a different relationship with the forms that arise, because at some point we thought the forms meant something about us. We thought the forms were who we are. We thought the forms could define who we are. But when we see that there is some separation between who we are and the space that arise, when we see there's separation between the forms and the space that we are, now we can build a different relationship with them. Now, when stress arises within your experience, you are not the stress. You are aware of the stress, and the stress doesn't have to define you. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person or you're inadequate or that you're stressful all the time. It's like you're just having an experience of stress, and that's okay. And I want to share this story right now because this is really a big lesson that I learned when relating to the forms of our experience. Well, before I share that, like I said in the email, it's like this universe is literally a relationship game. That's all this universe is. It's like the sun has a relationship with Earth, the bees have a relationship with the flowers, the birds have a relationship with trees. It's all relationships, and when we understand that it's all relationships, we start to see that it's not a specific thing that's a problem. Like your feelings are not a problem, your emotions are not a problem, your negative thoughts are not a problem. It's none of those things are problems. It's nothing. It's how we're relating to them that really determines how we feel. And if we start to see that, oh, I'm the space and these things arise, now I can relate to this in a different manner. And it's really cool because this story will kind of allude to what I'm going to say next. But this was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I have a coach and that I've been working with for, I don't know how long I'm working with him, maybe like 2 months now. But we're having a conversation. We're talking about like purpose, and we're talking about deep purpose. And he brought this to my awareness about like, as men and women, but, specifically men, because he coaches men, that it's like, it's so important that we identify like, what is this deep purpose that will drive us forward? Like, what is it that gets us excited to be alive? What is it that we can fight for? Like, what is it that we can fight for? And it was really cool because after that call, like, I was like, what is my purpose? Like, do I have a deep purpose? And it's funny because I've been creating videos like for so long and I know what I'm fighting for. But when he shared that, like, I would say that my ego got a hold of it and it started to really like compare myself to this idea of what deep purpose was. And it just like started to go back and forth. And it kind of put me in this, I like to say, an identity crisis, because I was like, I don't know who I am. What am I doing? Like, all this experience. And it was a great experience because it was a catalyst for me to, it actually was a catalyst for me to understand what purpose means, and even to have a deep purpose is like what that means to me. And so when I had this identity crisis of really just not knowing what I should be doing, what am I saying, like all these things, I was really inspired, and I can say my higher self talked to me. I was really inspired. I was like, oh, you should really just go write. You should just write the things down. Like, you should get all this shit out of your head, because this is making you kind of go in these loops and you're not finding your way out of these loops. And so it was one Monday, and literally I sat down all Monday and I journaled like 20 pages of notes. And this experience, it gave me an opportunity to relate to the forms differently. And that's what I saw. I started to relate to myself differently in this experience. As I was writing, as I was journaling, as I was writing down everything that I was thinking about myself, as I was writing down me not knowing what to do, as I was writing down my confusion, as I was writing down everything that I thought was wrong with me, I saw that, oh, these are all the thoughts that have been arising within you, about this person of Dave, this identity that you have or whatever. But these are all the thoughts that have been arising, and you have been believing these ideas. And actually, you have been relating to these ideas in a way that you tried to push them away. You didn't want to accept them. You didn't want to be with it. And in that experience, it was funny because my partner, Yulita, she said that I was kind of out. Like, it's funny because, in our experience, we have to judge things and we have to get things labels, and that's perfect because we're here as humans. But it's like I was feeling down. I was feeling melancholy. I wasn't like really excited about life. And yet again, it gave me an opportunity to relate to that experience differently, because in past moments, I wouldn't allow myself to feel like that. I wouldn't allow myself to feel how I felt. And so that whole experience, it just gave me a reference point to how am I relating to myself? It wasn't about purpose. It wasn't about anything. It's like, how are you relating to yourself in this ever flowing experience of being a human? Because I'm not always happy. I'm not always excited. Sometimes I'm down. Sometimes I'm this way. Sometimes I'm this way. Sometimes I have these thoughts. Sometimes I have these emotions. And it's like, how can you relate to these things so that you can navigate your experience? So you can stop saying that I can't feel like this, but it's like, you can feel like that, because the way that you feel doesn't define you. It doesn't mean anything about you. It's just how you're feeling. And when you can feel these, you really start to understand who you are within this experience. And I guess I'll keep saying that. It's like, you really understand that you are this space that these things arise. And I even think about it, it's like, how would you relate to these things if you knew that they weren't you anymore, and that they weren't bad, and they were just a form that are arising? Like, how would you relate to these things? And so by the end of my journaling experience, I was like, oh, I know my purpose. I know what my purpose is. My purpose is to be loving, and my purpose is to be kind, actually. My purpose is to be kind to the thoughts that say that I'm not enough. My purpose is to be kind when I'm in a loop. My purpose is to be kind when I'm feeling down and when I'm feeling melancholy. My purpose is to be loving towards these aspects of myself, because when I be loving towards these aspects of myself, I remember that I am love. When I can be kind to the things that I think are inadequate about myself, when I can be kind and loving towards the things that I think are inappropriate, I am remembering that I am love in that moment. And that's my deepest purpose, is to remember love, actually. And when I remember love for myself, it naturally exudes out of me. It's like, if I'm giving love to myself, God damn, you gonna give love to everybody else. If you're giving love to yourself, you naturally give love to other people. And it's one of those things. Is like like the word love is so thrown around in very mysterious ways, and it's very confusing for people. But it's like, it's the experience of acceptance. It's the experience of being okay with the experience, because you know that experience cannot hurt you, and that experience is temporary. And what's even deeper is that a lot of times, in human experience, that we're looking for something stable. We're looking for a stable foundation through which we can rest on. We're looking for something that we can always know that we can rely on. And, it's very easy for us to try to rely on certain feelings, certain thoughts, and certain emotions. It's like, let me rely on happiness because that will always be good. Let me rely on these things. But it's like, you can't rely on those because, yet again, those are forms of experience, and they always come and go. But it's like, what we can rely on is we can rely on the space that the forms arise in. We can always rely on space, like, because that's always there. That's eternal, if you will. That's never changing. The space is never changing. And that's the stability and that's the foundation that we're all looking for. You can't identify with form because form changes. You can't identify with thoughts because thoughts change. But what you can identify is with the space. And when you identify with that space, you understand that, oh, the form is going to change all the time. And that's okay that form changes because that's the nature of form. Like in the Bible, this too shall pass. And so if we're looking for something eternal, and if we're looking for something stable, and if we're looking for a foundation, the foundation is within us. The foundation is the formless nature of who we really are. The foundation is not form because form changes. The formless nature. It's the space. It is the space of who we are. And so it's really cool because at the end of the day, like I said, I've been saying a few times, it's like the relationship to everything is what we're looking for, a different relationship. And I made videos about this. It's like people say, I want to stop overthinking. I want to stop having these negative thoughts. I want to stop these feelings and emotions. Hey, Natalie, glad to have you here. I want to stop all these things. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to be sad. Like, I don't want these things. But it's like, and in those moments where we say that we don't want them, we're saying that, like, why wouldn't you want it? Like, why wouldn't you want it? That's the question. Because it seems that it's me. It has something to do with me. But it doesn't. It's the form. It's the form that arises. And, it's actually, I say it has something to do with me, but it's like, it's a part of the whole game, actually. It has nothing to do with you, but it has everything to do with you because it is experience. It's just experience. It's not personal. It's just experience. And experience is just happening for all of us in so many very unique, beautiful, colorful ways. And when we understand this, like, it's not that we want to stop overthinking. It's that we want to have a different relationship to it. We want the overthinking to not mean that I am a problem or that I am insufficient or that I am not capable of navigating life. That's the thing. We don't want the overthinking to mean that. That's what it means. It's like, we don't want it to mean that. We don't want the feelings that arise when we believe that thought that overthinking is a sign of insufficiency or an incapability of navigating life. We don't want the thought that depression means that I can't leave my house or that I can't associate with people. It's like, it doesn't mean that. It just means that I am having a momentary experience of being depressed. And however I relate to that depression is going to determine how I navigate that depression. And we take it back to this. It's like, what if you knew that you were love? And what if you knew that you were love and that you were God and that you were space and that you were the formless energy, but you've just been misunderstanding yourself as something else. You've been misunderstanding yourself as depression. You've been misunderstanding yourself as sadness. And it's like, what if you really just oh, what if I thought I was all those things? What if I thought I was depression? What if I thought that I was the overthinker? What if I thought that I was a sadness? What if I thought that I was a procrastinator and I've been beating myself up for that? Isn't that funny? Like, I thought I was all those things and now I see that I'm not those. And now I'm just going to be nice to myself because I know that none of those things are me and I don't have to beat myself up for that anymore. I don't have to judge myself. I don't have to punish myself. I don't have to abuse myself for that anymore because it's not me. It's not me. I am this beautiful, untouched awareness of life that is always loving and always accepting. It's cool because I like to share. It's like, it's funny that we sometimes think that we can't handle things. It's like, but you're already handling it. What you mean? You're already in the experience. You're already handling the experience. You already got it. The only thing that makes it seem like you can't handle it is that we have thoughts that be like, I don't know if I can handle this. And when you believe that thought, guess what? It seems that you can't handle it, but you're already in the thick of it. You can handle anything. You are resilient. And it literally keeps pointing to the same thing. It keeps pointing to the same thing. That's like, We are not the form that arises. We are aware of the form that arises, and all form has to arise within us. And to the degree that we believe every form is to the degree that we will have a reality or an experience that looks to be informed by the past, informed by insecurity, informed by fear. But we don't actually have to, because we know we can find space and we can find grace within our experience. And when we find space and grace within our experience, we naturally just decide. We naturally make decisions based on a clear mind, a clear point of view. And this clear point of view is one of love. It is actually one of love, actually, because what if you can accept all experience? Maybe not like, yeah, I'm excited about being angry. I'm excited about being depressed. I'm excited about this shit. Maybe might not be about that, but it's like, can you be with that experience long enough? Can you sit with that experience and see that it's not that I'm looking to change the experience, but I'm looking for something that's more stable. I'm looking for me in this now moment. I'm looking for the feeling of homecoming in this now moment. I'm looking for the space, because I had an experience of being depressed for like about 6 months actually. And I remember being in that experience, like literally I would wake up every morning and go sleep in my closet because I didn't want to see the sunrise. And those moments when I was laying in the closet, it just seemed that there was no space. Like it just seemed that it was a bombard. Like I was bombarded by just negative thoughts, negative thoughts, negative thoughts, negative thoughts. And I was trying to change the negative thoughts, negative thoughts, negative thoughts. And then I was taking the negative thoughts personal. I was like, oh, this means that I'm a piece of shit. Like I can't do nothing. Like just like in that loop. And it's like now I see that now I could even, I can be like, oh, I see what's happening. I see what's happening. I'm having a experience of whatever you want to call it, depression, overthinking. I'm having an experience of this, and me judging this experience is saying that I am that experience actually. Like me judging the experience is saying that I am the depression, I am the overthinking, I am the this hurt feelings, I'm the sad feelings. But it's like I'm none of those things, and it's really cool when we get to see this. What's up, Art? Glad to have you here, brother. Uh, it's really cool when we see these things because it gives us the gift of being kind and loving, being kind and loving. And it's so funny because it's like those words, it seem so simple. It just seems like what do you mean being kind and loving? But that's all that you are asking for. Like that's all that any of us is asking for. We live in a society where punishment, abuse, like beating yourself up is how we get forward. But it's like you don't get forward towards that. It's like how can you feel better about beating yourself up? Like I want to be more conscious, but I'm gonna punish myself to get more conscious. I want to be in the present moment, and so I'm going to judge myself anytime I'm not in the present moment. And it's like that doesn't work. Being in the present moment, being conscious is being conscious of the thoughts that arise that you seem to not be in the present moment. And so like it's really cool because every moment, every experience is actually a catalyst for us to go into more consciousness or unconsciousness. Like you can be really judgmental about yourself, but if you're conscious with the judgment, you can be like, oh, I'm seeing that this is a judgment arising and it has nothing to do with me. This is just judgment arising. You can be with the moments of sadness. And it's like I say sadness, but like sadness is like, I mean, most people, it's like it's not a big deal actually, but it's like in those moments it's like, it's okay that I can be with this sadness actually, because we are looking for ourselves in every moment. We're looking for the space, we're looking for the acceptance, we're looking for the love, and we're looking for the kindness in every moment. It's like, how can you hold that space for yourself? Because when you hold the space, you remember that you are the space. When you can hold the space for a feeling, you remember that you are the space. When you can hold space for the form, you remember that you are formless. And I've shared this analogy. I think Natalie and Arch, I might have missed it, but it's like the space is more important, or just as it's actually more important actually. But it's like, just think about outer space. It's like there's outer space, and then a galaxy arises. A galaxy arises within outer space, a creation of a galaxy. And then we have planets that arise. We have stars that arise. We have moons that arise. We have a sun that arises. And then we have human beings that arise on this planet. And all these forms that arise, this is what relating to form means. It's like all these forms that arise, they are arising within this space. And so it's like the space is important. We need the space to have form. And that's your experience as well. Like that's all of our experience. Like we need the space to experience a form of thought. We need the space to experience a form of feelings. We need the space to experience a form of emotions. We need the space, and the space is the only thing that's a stable foundation. It's the only thing that is eternal, because form always passes away. The feeling always changes. The thought always changes. The emotion always changes. Like it always changes, but the space is always there, and that's eternal. And so when we understand that we are the eternity, when we can feel the eternity, when we can be with the eternity, which is present right now, the only, it's actually, you know this, but it's like the now moment is eternity. And when we be here with eternity and not get caught up on the forms that arise within eternity, we see that that's the stable foundation that we're looking for. We're not looking to identify with the thoughts, feelings. We're not looking to hold on to happiness. We're not looking to hold on to the really great feelings. We're looking to hold on and be with all of it, because it's just life experience. It's humans. It's just life experience. It's life experience. How beautiful is that? How great is that this is life experience? And that's what gives it such a beautiful color. We have the form and we have the formless, and it's a beautiful dance of the form and the formless. And we're learning how to let go. We're learning how to enjoy that form, be with the happiness, have fun with it, be with the sadness, experience that, be with this, be with that. It's all good. It's all love. We can hold space for all of it. And when we hold space, we just continue to recognize and just kind of be with that. And we find the stability in all places. Nothing needs to change. Nothing needs to change, because the now moment is perfect. It's always perfect. It's actually always perfect. It's literally always perfect. We don't think it's perfect. We have thoughts that say, oh, this is not perfect. This shit should be different. That person should be different. My experience should be different. I should have more money. I shouldn't feel like this. All that. But it is actually perfect, actually. And when those thoughts arise that says, no, it should be different. No, I should be different. Oh, that's okay. I love those thoughts too. I accept those thoughts too. I can hold space for those thoughts too. It's actually really interesting. So I actually had was like 2 days ago, I had like a little headache. I had like a headache, definitely. And the mind starts to like, well, two things. My wrist had a very interesting feeling. I could say my wrist was hurting, I had a little headache. And then the mind is like, oh, what does that mean about your wrist? Like, that means something, bro. You need to go to the doctor. And then the headache is like, oh, dude, you need to drink more water. You need to eat more healthy food. You need to do all this stuff. And it was funny because I was like, I sat down and I was journaling, and I was like, can I just be with that feeling of having a little headache and having a wrist problem, actually? And I know that my mind is going to make up stories about it, but can I even be with the stories about it, actually? And it's cool because like it just makes the whole experience a lot softer. It makes the whole experience a lot graceful. And I'm no longer stressed out about like my wrist, my head. It's just like, oh, that's what's happening right now. And what if this was actually what's supposed to be happening? Because it seems like that is what's happening. Like it seems that I do have a headache and my wrist is sore. Like that's actually what's happening. And I don't have to fight against that, because when I fight against it, it seems to me that when I fight against experience, immediately I try to get away from experience. And when I get away from experience, I feel the disconnection from this present moment. And so like the whole gift is not to the whole gift is like, I would say it's not even to try to get better, but it's like finding the goodness and finding the beauty in this now moment, because there's so much depth to it. Like it's actually wild, but it's like it's so much it's so much space to it. Like I wonder what's in outer space. Like I wonder what's out there. Like I wonder what is within the space of us. Like, have you seen that? I mean, maybe like a little glimpse of it. Like when I'm like, damn, this is actually good. I actually don't need anything at all. Like I am perfectly freaking great right now. Like there's so much in space. There's so much in outer space. There's so much in inner space. And that is what it seems to be that we're looking for. And I guess I shared a little bit about relating to form, but we've been around the corner. We've been around all the planet and stuff like that, talking about everything. But it's like that's how we relate to form differently. Relating to form is relating to the forms of experience that arise. And I would say the most efficient way, and not the way that it always needs to be, but the way that really helps us recognize who we are within experience is when we can relate to form in the most loving way, when we can relate to form in the most kind way. Humane, the word human, but humane means kindness and tenderness, like kindness and tenderness. And it's like I'm a human being, like in my nature it is to be kind. In my nature it is to be loving. In my nature it is to be graceful. And it's like in any moment, like, can I recognize when I'm not being that towards myself? And like I said in the email, I don't know if you received it, but it's like, like people talk about inner relationships. It's like a lot of people talk about external relationship with friends, family, romantic partners. But, all these relationships are always just a reflection of this internal relationship that we have with ourselves, actually, that we have with our own unique experience. And it takes the pressure off of ourselves. It takes the pressure off me, you, everybody else, when we understand that, like, the relating is just an internal relating. It's not an external relating. It's an internal relating. And when this internal space clears up, I like to say that the only thing that we're doing is getting clear on who we are. We're getting clear that we are love. And we can use every goddamn experience as a catalyst to remember that we are love. And it's not a forceful, because you're going to forget all the time. We live in a world that makes you forget that you are loved. Like, they don't make you to, but they give you a guide. They give you a lot of reasons to forget that you are loved, actually. But those are all those reasons to make you forget that you're loved. There are 1,000 more reasons to remember that you are loved, and to remember that you are the space of acceptance and unconditionality. Like, you are the space. And yet again, it's really cool because, like, this is just something that we experience right now as we're sitting in the chair. Like, we can all experience it right now. Like, without your experience changing, without the thoughts that you're thinking changing, without the feelings that you're having changing, without the belief systems, without the conditioning changing, you can experience the space. Because conditioning, beliefs, identities, all those things are just a form. But there has to be form list there for the form to arise. And we can remember that in any moment. We can remember that space in any moment. We can feel into the space in any moment when we just let go, accept, be okay with. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay that I feel this way. It's okay that I'm noticing judgment arise. It's okay that I'm being a little bit too hard on myself. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's actually all okay. It's all good. We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. So that is the share for today. I really appreciate everybody for showing up today.